welcome to the treble winning P.M.P. Terry Robb. We've come a long way, my friend. We have come a long, long way doing these post-match analyses, if that's a word, from where we were when we first started doing this to where we are now. And you know what? It's just success after success after success. There's going to be a lot of drama in the background. There's going to be a lot of body language experts. But for all of you out there, no, that is the real Terry Robb. That's not George Clooney. Welcome aboard the Bhoycie Bus. Make mine a treble. I hope everyone's having a fantastic day. We'll get all that good stuff out the road as quickly as we possibly can, while still showing respect to our sponsors. And then we will crack on with the show. If you want to give us a subscribe, amazing, please do. Click the button down the bottom. Terry, where's the button?
Down there somewhere. I don't know how to do
like, share, slag my hair, or slag Terry's tan in this instance today. If you want to, round off the treble winning weekend with a treble of your own, then I tell you what, head over to ED Pharmacy, because edpharmacy.co.uk, if you use the code BUS10, you get 10% off their erectile dysfunctional products. And not only will it give you a hard-on the same way Ange Postecoglou Celtic side has all season, you will also get same-day delivery if you order before 6 p.m. and you're in the central Scotland area. Next-day delivery if not. Order cut-off time is 6 o'clock. But yeah, get in touch. I'll tell you this, Terry. I told the group chat, I don't know names, obviously, but I do know orders have been flying in. I know they've been flying in. I've been told from ED Pharmacy's head honcho himself. So a big thanks for that. It's the only blue thing we'll sell. And piesports.com, never forget, 12.5% off, Bus 1888. Right, Terry. We are treble winners, mate. 5th in 7 years. And yet, in amongst all that, we've had protests, sacked the board, a manager who's a legend of the club chased out, and yet we've won 5 out of 7 trebles. We'd only won, Terry, 3 in our whole history before that. We are, as they said last week, standing now on the shoulders of giants.
Well, see, I think this last week, I understand why. I think today has kind of been overshadowed by the whole sort of is he going, is he not going about the manager. But aside from that, what we were on target to achieve today has kind of sort of gone under the radar a wee bit. An 8th treble, 5 for Callum McGregor, which makes him a world record holder, and 8 trebles, which I believe makes us record holders as well.
World record.
And do you know what? It kind of we've become accustomed to it in recent times. But I did a wee bit. I'm not a great one for looking up research on the internet and stuff like that. But I had a quick look today. Bayern Munich, as I believe it, have had 11 in a row titles. Now I know they don't have 3 cup competitions in Germany. I believe they don't. So I think they only have 2. But over that period, Bayern Munich they're not doing the double every year. They're winning the league, but they're not doing the double every year.
That's a great
point.
For
us to get that many trebles, I know people look at Scotland and they go, right, it's a 2-horse race, or in some cases they feel.
Oh, Ange's talking.
Okay, let's switch on. Can you put it on?
But the crazy thing is I do,
I hear it.
And people will find that probably bizarre, but I mean, like these 2 gentlemen next to me, when you play for one of the big clubs, and that expectation, you kind of want it, that's why you come to these clubs. That's
Can
why
you hear it okay?
You want to embrace it, and if it's gone, if it's something else, then you kind of miss it and crave it. You want to be in a position to win things, to win games of football, and you know what, that does come with a great responsibility, but I've loved every minute of the way the whole group has embraced that, because again, it's easy for me as manager to say that, but the players are the ones who have to perform every week under that sort of pressure.
But they're giving you absolutely everything.
Yeah, they are.
All season. It's been non-stop. They've earned their best now.
Yeah, and it's it's been our mantra from day one. We wanted to be relentless in every way, and I do it every day training. I see it every day in them, and it's a credit to them. It's a great group led brilliantly by Callum and the other senior boys. It's a great dressing room, and it's credit to them. They go down as history makers there.
Yeah, I worked for Inverness. A lot
Stephen
of people
Thompson's not got the courage of his convictions
They
to
made a
ask
game
him,
of it
does
this
he?
afternoon, made things difficult for you guys, certainly for that opening period.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a cup final, and anyone who's been involved, I mean, you always get the underdog story, and the team that's favourite doesn't want to be the one that slips up, and it's always a bit of anxiety. And I thought we were a bit nervous at times today. We're kind of trying to
We're a
overdo
bit
things a little
nervous.
bit, not keeping the game simple, and we had to work our way through that. But again, credit to the lads; they always find a way to get it done.
Yeah, you get such a special relationship with the Celtic supporters. I was so there at the end. I suppose what they all want to know, and I know you know what's coming is, are you going to be the Celtic manager next season?
Yeah, look, I understand all that, but I want to be, it's a little bit selfish here because not just myself, my family, people around me have all worked really hard to enjoy this moment. So, as disappointing as that may be for people, that's what I'm going to do. We work too hard as, whether it's players, managers, that, if I again start talking about things that aren't really important right now to me and those people around me, mate, I'm just enjoying this, and I will enjoy it for as long as I can before people drag me away to talk about other things.
That's fair enough. And what's the plans now for yourself? Will you manage to get a wee bit of R&R, a bit of downtime? It's been non-stop.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, absolutely. Although the sun got me today. It got me by surprise. No, I do. I pause, Neil. But the Scottish sun got me today. No, we'll definitely need a break. It's felt like a long season. It might be because of the World Cup break, but it just feels like, and with our performances have sort of tailed off in the last sort of few weeks. And I think the lads are feeling it as well. You remember some of our boys were at a World Cup mid-season. It's
How are you feeling,
that's
Terry?
why I'm just
I think he's gone, Bhoycie.
amazed at the levels they've created, and I think everyone's looking forward to a break.
Okay, well, thank you very much for joining us.
I think he's gone. I think he's gone. I was 80-20 before listening to that. I'm now 90-10.
Really?
Yeah. I think so. I can only make a call based on what I've read, seen, and as you touched on, sort of trying to judge. I just think he's different from last year. Last year he stood there on the pitch at Celtic Park. He talked about next season bigger, better, stronger. He's either playing a game of poker with Dermot Desmond to try and get the best outcome.
Who he was speaking to the other week.
It all makes sense now, or he's gone. I mean, at the end of the day, for me, I absolutely hope he stays. I think we can probably go a long way to matching Tottenham salary wise. I mean, there's this kind of cap that we have in our head for players and managers. We were able to attract Brendan Rodgers. We were able to give him a salary. We were able to get Eddie Howe to the point where he was close to signing. I think we can give this manager close to probably what his salary will be at Tottenham. Yes, that will probably mean we don't sign a player. But
if he can keep shopping in the supermarkets he's been shopping in,
I think we can go close to his salary. But Ange is 57. He's possibly going to get offered the opportunity to test his methods in what is, whether you like it or not, the best league in the world.
Where they all want to manage. That's how I would describe the league. I don't think it is the best in the world. I think the Italian league's now proven without the same riches. Look at the Europe. You look at the European tournaments this season.
Okay.
Dominated by Italian teams.
Many of the one.
That's not the point I'm making. They're dominated in the latter stages by Italian teams, mate.
I haven't.
Let me finish. Because the difference is the Italian league is doing it with a quarter, if that of the riches of England. In fact, probably not even a quarter. That's probably doing them a disservice. I think when it comes to the English league being the best league in the world, I would always caveat that with it's the richest, and it's where, whether we like it or not, all managers' roads lead and end at. It's where they want to go. If you look at Pep Guardiola, for example, he couldn't wait to go there. You look at Mourinho, he couldn't wait to go for Porto, which was understandable. But once he left Real Madrid to go back to Chelsea. They all want in the EPL. So no one's going to judge Ange if he's going to take a wee bit of a, one of those faces to remember the CCV pass.
I'll disagree. I think the Italian league's piss poor, Bhoycie. I know you're going to quote me the Champions League that they had two of the semi-finalists, but that draw completely worked. That draw created a scenario where an Italian team had to be in the final because of the way the draw came out.
But the team that won the league, though, mate, means that they weren't even in that
Napoli won
semi-final.
that league. Napoli won that league by 20 points.
Exactly.
And they're nowhere to be seen in the Champions League.
So 2 Champions League semi-finalists, Terry, and yet Napoli won it by 20.
See, that was a draw. There's no way you'll tell me Inter Milan or AC Milan are in
and
the
then
best
Roma are in the
teams.
Europa League final. And
No chance. Nah,
I think it's a better league based on the money, mate.
The draw put all the Italian teams together that one of them, by default, one of them had to be in the final. There's absolutely no way in this world.
We're going down that garden path. We don't really need to.
No, but listen, Seville beat Roma, albeit penalties, whatever else. I know Fiorentina are in the final against West Ham. They may well win that. They may well not. Italian football is nowhere close to English.
Let's not focus on Italian football because it's really, really irrelevant to the conversation today. The treble's been won. A momentous occasion. We've just listened to Ange there, and I don't know if that was picked up by you watching, by the way, and I apologise if that's
it sounded okay to me.
Did it? Was it? I don't know if it was amateur hour or not, but I had to hear it. I had to hear it, mate, because I think it's so important that there's people who want to claim they've got sources at this football club that are just talking at their arse. And I'm getting messages forward to me, Terry, I swear to God, from you can imagine who, that has been forwarded secondary to me, that, I don't use sources anymore, but the beauty of sources is yada yada. They're just talking at their arsehole, Terry, right? The thing is with the Bhoycie Bus podcast that we've done is we've never claimed to buy TK. We never will be. But that gives us the best vantage point, as Mark Kearney calls it, from his seat at Celtic Park, because we can just call it as we see it. Now, I've got to be honest again. I think Ange is non-committal. But I said last night and on Thursday, he will never make, if we lift the Scottish Cup final, whether it's a yay or a nay about him. He's not going to give you that in the back of us winning a treble. Ange is not cut for that cloth. This isn't me blindly going, that means he stays forever, he's my big Uncle Celtic. What I'm trying to say is, he will not make today about him. Either way. And if he knows he's staying, he still wouldn't make it about him today. It's not in his makeup to do that. So nothing we've seen so far should surprise us too much. The non-committal approach is because whatever it is that could happen, I don't actually think has been destined either. I do not think he has been offered the Tottenham Hotspur job yet. I don't think he knows if he will be getting that job. Do I think he would want to speak to them if they approach, or if they have already approached? Yes, I do. 100% do. And I see nothing wrong with that. Do I think he's already agreed to join Tottenham Hotspur? No. But that's not me again. Would I begrudge it if he had? No, because he focused our energies on the final week of the season. He completed the treble and he's done nothing wrong. He is anyone up the garden path on this guy. Anyone up the garden path with this guy has walked himself up the garden path, Terry. Ange hasn't led you up it. Brendan Rodgers led me up the garden path, and I can't deny it. But Ange, for me, has not done that to us. And this week, non-committal is being balanced, it is being fair, and it's focusing on Celtic Football Club achieving an incredible world record treble today.
I think the difference is last year he was committal. At the end of the season when he spoke at Celtic Park.
There was no interest like this though last year. This is not apples and oranges.
I know that. But all I'm saying is at this point last season, we were in no doubt he was going to be the manager next season. Now there's a very, very serious doubt that he will be. I probably agree with you. I don't think it's a done deal. I think there's still some way to go. But I think all Ange is doing is keeping all avenues open, which he's more than entitled to do.
Absolutely entitled to do.
I think that's fair enough.
And what I love is,
we want him to turn around today and go, I just want to tell you all, and everybody roars and goes mental.
I was never going to make today about him. He told us that ages ago. I don't know if you remember the presser he did about a week ago. He said, I would hide the focus to be about me, with a cup final head. He goes, just know him. Do you know what I mean? I just think we need to be real here. If there is interest in Ange from a team like Spurs, he is going to entertain that. Martin O'Neill, Saint Martin O'Neill, entertained the chat with Leeds, Terry. We moved on pretty quick after that, did we not? Remember how close he was to joining Leeds?
I'm too long in
It's
the tooth.
okay.
I mean, I'm too long in the tooth. If Ange, I love Ange, and I 1,000,000% hope he stays. But see if he goes, the minute he announces he's going as Celtic manager, I will not give him one more second's thought. And I know there's lots of Celtic fans will get down in the dumps about it and get annoyed and say I thought he was different than Bryn. I will not give him a second thought, because I've only got enough emotion for one football club, and whoever's in that club at that time will get my heart. But the minute they go out the door, I don't give two fucks. Honestly, if Ange announces tonight that he's gone at 8 o'clock,
He's not. They're going to do it tonight.
If he announces at 9 o'clock he's gone, I won't think about him ever again after 1 minute past 9.
Do you know what's mad?
That's just being somebody who's been through years of falling in love with players and managers. And
exactly, Terry.
Ange said it up. He said it himself. He said, "You guys are here, and you'll always be here. Me and the players are just passing through." And he never ever spoke a truer word. I'd love him to stay. I hope he does. If he goes, honestly, move on. Get the next man in. Celtic goes on. Supporters will always be there. Players and managers just pass through.
I think there's a lot more to this than meets the eye. I think I'm still 50-50. I think Ange, if offered the Spurs job, would take it. I don't think he's been offered anything. I think if Ange is offered the opportunity now, he's got his business done, which is a complete respect to Celtic, by the way, which Brendan failed to do. Whether Leicester ramped up the pressure on that or not. I know there's a bit of spin that, Rodgers committed to a contract, which meant that we at least got 9 million for him. And I get that angle as well. Ange has stayed rolling, but Ange was only offered rolling because that suited Celtic at the time. Yeah. So you reap what you sow. You reap what you sow. Don't then go, after a year, here's a 5-year deal. And he's like, no, wait a minute. I told you I was good when you first offered me the gig, mate. You only wanted to put me in a rolling contract. You brought in Gordon Strachan after 3 months. Let's behave on that, right? However, notwithstanding all this, I think it's totally within his gift to speak to Spurs and come to his own conclusion. And whatever that may be, he'll go with my best wishes. Or if he stays with my best wishes. And I hope this doesn't get used as some sort of excuse. Because what we've seen is 5 out of 6 trophies. 2 in the first year against all odds. 3 this year whilst being favourites. And some competitive displays in Europe that I think got more plaudits than the points. I feel that what he's done in the 2 years of progression so far, even if he doesn't leave this summer, I think if he's staying, we can't hold it against him that he spoke to Spurs and use that as an excuse, Terry, not to then go back him the same way they would if there'd been no Spurs link. It's not his fault a team like Tottenham Hotspur want to speak to him. It's not his fault completely that he's on a rolling contract at Celtic. That was a Celtic decision. A lot of people think that means he's interviewed today that he's gone. I'm really not in that camp as of yet. I think he's been consistent throughout. I think we find out next week he's going to get to the final stage interview process like any of us do when we go to a job. And I'll be honest, if you don't gauge what your customer base thinks before you appoint a manager, it's foolish. Celtic were desperate when they appointed Ange. He got the job through default, Terry, because he didn't get how. Right? That is a fact. If there's any sniff Luis Enrique wants that Spurs job and decides, you've given me enough, they go for Enrique over Ange every single day of the week.
That's the name I was going to say to you. I spoke to a few Tottenham supporters today, just met them. I met a couple of guys that I'm friendly with in the town earlier, and that was the name they're coming out with. And
the two of them have been interviewed, guaranteed.
But I was saying, I was trying to say to them, if Ange Postecoglou gets this job and you listen to his first press conference, you'll totally buy into him. But they were just going, nah, not interested. Don't care what he's done. Luis Enrique's the one does, and they they want that name, somebody who's managed at Barcelona, somebody who's got that reputation, and they're just totally bought into that without giving this guy any consideration, similar to what we probably did 2 years ago. You hear this name, you've never heard of it, and you're kind of going, fucking hell, what's the crap?
I am the definition of how Spurs fans feel right now. I am the walking, talking definition who put themselves out there and got abused, Terry. I was.
The only thing is, Daniel Levy probably gets off on going against the grain. So if he was to listen to his customer base, he probably wouldn't offer it to Ange. But
you might offer Enrique the extra couple
being
of chips.
the kind of guy he is, he probably will go against his customer base and offer it to Ange.
That's true. And that's fair as well, Terry. And that's fair as well. I don't know. I think there's still definitely avenues that need to be trodden before
Listen to
any
me.
decisions made.
Our
And
conversation
right now,
today has just gone the way the whole week leading up to this match. This should all have been about a world record winning club, about Celtic Football Club winning another treble. But our conversation exactly is the whole prep. It's all about the manager, and it shouldn't be like that. He's somebody who's passing through, whether he goes this summer, whether he goes next summer, whether he goes in 10 summers' time. It's about the football club, and we've just made history today. And I know it's so easy. You just want to talk about the manager.
Talk to me at the trebles then, and I want you to go back to 2001, where that was the first treble I'd ever witnessed. I'm sure it was the same for you. And I was saying to Connor today, and it's difficult, not in a bad way. Connor's just so much younger.
Connor's 25, yes.
But this is what he knows, Terry. This is what he knows. It's just complete dominance. Connor, in his football support life, let's take him up to 7 years old. That would leave 17 years. He's watched Celtic win that league, 13, 14 times? Is that a treble vodka, Terry?
It will be a treble vodka, yes. So
let's do a treble. Let's make sure that's 1, 2, 3. Yes, mate. A treble vodka from the face of P.M.P. But and it wasn't. Connor seems to talk about the team we grew up with, or sort of matured with, the same way we do, which I love. But I remember that treble being like, fucking hell, what's actually just happened there? And then you get the Rodgers era where the whole mood music changed, didn't it, Terry? Like, once he won that first treble, it was like, all systems go. This is now what we do. And I can't emphasize enough, if there is a younger audience based, anyone that is in the younger generation watching today, I just want you to really try and appreciate how incredible the times we are that we live in right now, because this, Terry, is not the norm.
No, Bhoycie, it absolutely isn't. But it is now as a Celtic team, and
wild, eh?
Unbelievable. I mean, I don't like harping on about this because it's way in the past, but I was obviously probably Connor's age when, well, a little bit younger. I was a little bit younger. I was 18 to 24, that type of age, when Rangers were just dominating. Celtic were finishing behind the likes of fucking Motherwell and all these teams. And if you at that point had said we would go through a period now like the one we're going through, I would have said you're absolutely in cloud cuckoo land. That can't happen. That just can't happen. And even taking aside the whole Rangers thing, I mean, there were very few times where a team won the treble, and it's so difficult. And I pointed out,
they've only won a treble when Rangers have been in the top flight.
I gave the Bayern Munich example, where they've been so dominant in German football, 11 league titles, but compared to that, the amount of times they've won the cups and stuff is not on the same level. And it goes the same in all of those top leagues. Like, look at the French league, where it's just a one horse race every single year. They don't do the double every year. I know they don't even win the league every year, because Paris Saint-Germain are just a fucking fabricated big club kind of thing. They don't even win the league every year. But you look at these countries that are similar to Scotland, where there's a couple of teams that dominate every season. There aren't teams that just win doubles and trebles every single season. And I know we kind of go into it now, and I'm the same. I go into it now thinking, well, if we don't get the treble, I might be a wee bit disappointed. And that is just so far removed from what real life was.
Is that because of
years
the
ago.
focus? The focus suits the club for it to be on trebles because it's a far easier achievement than achieving something in Europe. We were talking about the other night. You look at what O'Neill used to.
No, is it though?
O'Neill
Because
used to
again,
cheat
look,
the cups. O'Neill used to see that first season he won the treble. Remember we beat Hearts 5-2, and it was Stephen Craney scored the screamer. Jamie Smith started. Colin Healy started. He didn't give a monkey's mate about that. He had refocused our attention on League, Europe, League, and I think that's why the focus on trebles. We never, when O'Neill didn't win a treble, go, bastard, we're not win a treble this year. That didn't happen, mate. That thought was never part of it. Like, we should have won a treble this year. That's disappointing. I think the treble, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to play it down right now when we're in it, because watching them today in the sun, it's just an amazing feeling. The showpiece game of the season, and rounded it up by cleaning up clean sweep of the tournaments. However, I think we can refocus to Europe again. And that gives me hope still that Postecoglou will want to go again, because he's got no Europe again with a Spurs, for example, next year. But with Celtic, he's got this unique opportunity most Celtic managers aren't afforded, and that is group qualification done just by winning the league. It'd be tough to pass that up. You know, when you think about it, straight entry in, you're in there with the mix. That is it. You're in. Very few Celtic managers would leave with that sort of opportunity on their horizon, in my opinion. I wouldn't, again, I'll go back to it. I will not blame him if he does. But I think the domestic treble was a tick box exercise for Ange that he definitely would have had in his sights. But I think the bigger tick box is still to tick, if you like.
I don't know, Bhoycie. I think as supporters we look at it a wee bit differently, and I've actually been thinking about Rodgers differently in the last week or so, and I think part of that is probably because he's a name on people's lips because he's out of a job, and if Ange does go, could we get Brendan back again? See if that did happen, I would respect him a lot more than I do currently, because
We can't be talking about replacements.
I think that would show serious balls. I think that would show serious balls for him to come back again.
Why are you in any doubt that he would? Brendan absolutely would go back.
Because
he's the
because
only
he
guy
knows,
with that bit of
he knows the
snipe.
reaction that he got when he left.
That he's got this mad, and which you've got to admire to an extent, self-worth. And he has a self-confidence that I actually, I'll be honest, I respect.
Let me explain my thought patterns this week, right? So I bought into the whole Rodgers supporter thing, and I've absolutely no doubt that was genuine. Now, when he left the way he did, I'm thinking, well, fuck, he's not a real supporter, blah, blah, blah. But we're looking at it from a supporter perspective. I've absolutely no doubt now that Brendan Rodgers grew up as a Celtic fan. I've no doubt that he watched the games at his home in Carnlough and blah, 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 all the rest. However, we've got to also understand Brendan Rodgers moved into the professional game aged about 14, 16, 15, whatever the fuck it was. And that became his job, his career from that point onwards. So you've grown up supporting a team, but you've then ended up being involved in the professional game. You're at Chelsea, you're at Liverpool, you're at Swansea, you're at these different teams. And there's Brendan Rodgers, the football supporter, but there's then Brendan Rodgers, whose job and whose career is also in the same field. And I probably couldn't separate those two, whereas what he was quite good at was he did separate those two. And I've no doubt Celtic are his first love and his main love as a supporter, but that's his job. That's the area he works in. That's where he's going to build his wealth and his family's life and his future generations from. And I've kind of been thinking about it a little bit differently. And part of me romantically thinks, do you know what? If he came back, I'll forgive any sort of negative thoughts I had around the way he left. I'd absolutely love it if he came back and I probably would forget about Ange very, very quickly, to be honest. And I've already said I'll forget about him quickly and I'll back the new man. But if it was Brendan, I'd totally buy into that again. Absolutely no fucking doubt. And the thing with Postecoglou is I've no doubt that he has developed a love for our club and our supporter base and everything that goes with us. But at the end of the day, it still is his job and his career. And his methods and his approach to the game, he got an opportunity late in his career to prove in Europe that his approach and methods work. If he gets offered that opportunity to do that in the biggest and best league in the world, that's going to be seriously difficult to turn down. My main thought is around Ange staying is he doesn't get offered it. And I still think I think it's a bigger possibility that he doesn't get offered it than he turns it down. I think it's more likely that he doesn't get the opportunity than that he says no to it. But as soon as he goes, Bhoycie, honestly, as soon as he goes, he's out of my head, forgotten about.
I will actually wish him all the best.
We move on to the next man, and we.
Well, that's fair. That's fair. But I actually think I've went so full circle on Ange. It's quite embarrassing how my mind can change.
Where
so
are
much.
you at right now? Are you 50-50? I'm very much. I expect it to happen.
I feel today was a continuity of how he's been all week.
Yeah,
I've got no bad blood to that. I actually think the way he carried himself this week made me endear myself to Ange more than I have the whole time he's been here. And I've, by the way, was one of the only people on a Celtic podcast to really kind of be underwhelmed that he was joining. Now, though, it's not that he just won me over. I actually think I've got. I wouldn't want to say I've got the measure of him because that'd be far fetched. I don't think anyone has, but I think I get him more than people do. I think people decided they were desperate for someone to be the pillar of Celtic again, and he almost got this Wizard of Oz status, and an ironic term. And then it became like he was always a Celtic diehard. He wasn't, and he never was, and he's never claimed to be. He also stayed it out throughout the season. He has not let Tottenham Hotspur have their way. If they have wanted chats, he's absolutely not. He's respected Celtic. He's respected the fans the whole way throughout. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I just feel that there's a desperation for Ange to be the big bad wolf if he left. And I don't think that's actually fair. What I'll also do is take you to a space where European and especially Premier League football is. In fact, look at our current league. How many managers actually do go 3 years, Terry? They don't. We think we've got this mad right or this God-given gift, and we've got this exception to the rule because we're Celtic, which I think the board plays on a lot. That football guys are going to fall in the trap, fall under the spell, and then make romantic decisions, not career decisions. That's not how the real world works. It's not how business works. We all need to accept that if you get a great manager in, their timescale isn't going to be Jock Stein-esque. Those days are over. I think you look at where we were when Ange took over, you look 2 years later, and I go, wow, my club is in a better state than it fucking was before.
The only reason Ange is getting even in the conversation is because he's brought success, and that's what we all want. If we weren't winning all these trophies, nobody would be interested in our manager. Do you know what I mean? And even if he'd lost that
if no one's interested in your manager, you're fucking Mickey Beale, aren't you? Do you know what I mean?
Well, here, look at Mickey Beale. Can you imagine in 2 weeks' time, Ange is gone, Mickey Beale's driving the narrative, oh, Ange legged it because he knew I had his measure. You know, rightly, he's going to go for that. Mickey Beale's going to go, it's all because of him.
He would love it, mate. He would love it. I just think today we achieved what we did because of Ange Postecoglou in the main. The players have done great, and Ange would never take all the credit, but I think what he's assembled in 2 years, from where we were to where we are now, that is an unrecognisable team bar Callum McGregor. Greg Taylor wasn't part of it before. It's Callum McGregor, mate. And then he has built a whole team that we now all have fallen in love with. Thanks to one guy. And by the way, I don't know if he did an interview as well the other day, Terry. And we may as well go down these rabbits. Everyone's loving the chat. There's 228 live. Mind, like, share, slag my hair, subscribe, all that bollocks.
Just by the way, boys, you don't let us go without touching on Callum McGregor. That's now a word.
Well, we'll do that. No, we'll do that. But
Absolutely.
he said in his interview the other day, he said we strengthened sort of in the summer. I promise you that was his words. I pick up on all this shit, right? He wasn't saying it in a cutting way. It wasn't like one of his one-liners. It was just, yeah, we strengthened sort of in the summer, and carried on talking. But I actually agree with him again. I agree with him. He strengthened sort of in the summer. In January, he upgraded the right back in our eyes, but on paper downgraded it. He undeniably downgraded the striker, and he made a profit. These are two windows that lead me to go, again, if you want to go down this route, how's this all on Ange, even if he does want to even bat his eyelids at a Spurs? Even if you think Spurs are a diddy club, even if they're shite and you think Daniel Levy's the worst guy in the world, even if you forget about the wages, if you look at the last two windows, based on the success he had against all odds first season, has he really been supported? You look at the summer window and January window, oh, give me peace. Actual nonsense. Those two windows are the most unfulfilling windows you could imagine when a manager in situ has the Messiah effect that Ange has. So again, I give him kudos for never grumbling, never moaning, never mumbling, never using excuses. He just gets on with the job. And that's why I feel my liking for him has grown because of all these things.
Again, this could be Ange playing poker, as I said earlier. We're never going to know what contact there's been with Tottenham and his agent and all this kind of stuff. But Ange is a very, very clever guy. If there's anything we've learned in the last 2 years, he's media savvy. He's very, very clever. He can manage downwards. He can manage upwards. And, you know, regardless of what level of interest there is from Tottenham, what level of contact there's been, if he stays or he plans to stay, he could be thinking in his head, yeah, I'll flirt with them. I'll bring it on. And when Dermot comes over to talk to me, I want to hear what his vision for the future is going to be. And I'm happy for Dermot to think that there's a strong possibility I could go, and that will in turn mean a better offer for me as a manager.
Which history doesn't tell you happens,
but also is Dermot going to match my ambition for the club?
But history doesn't tell you that is how it works. History tells you the second they get a whiff, you might be looking elsewhere, then we stop backing you. O'Neill, Leeds, stop backing him. The Leeds talks happened, fair play, O'Neill turned it down. He never got backed after that. Look at who he signed after the Seville final. Phil was telling us last night, he signed after the Seville. He signed, oh shit, who was it? Michael Gray on loan and some idiot on a free. And it was like, oh my God, I didn't realise it was that bad. You look at the links that Rodgers had with China and stuff, and suddenly his three main targets, which at the end of the day still improved Celtic, not just Brendan Rodgers, but the Bulls used that as their excuse not to back him properly. They couldn't even get John McGinn over the line after that. I think Ange doing that would be a very risky move, Terry, because I think they would use it against him as opposed to good strength of hand there. You're right. You're flirting other clubs. Well, now it's in the public domain, which Celtic might be quite happy for it to be in the public domain. We don't know who's leaking these stories, Terry, right? It might be Celtic who are quite happy for it to go in the public domain because it means the summer, what we've spoke about so often, if it doesn't happen this summer, it'll happen no summer. Because we knew all roads direct to the money's there, the evidence is there, the buy-in's there. We are all in. And then suddenly they've now got their get-out-of-jail-free card because, well, you know he spoke to Spurs, so we couldn't really back a manager we thought was going to leave. Could we? And they twiddle the wee lip. And before you know it, back to square one again.
The Japanese trip will be a bit of a damp squib if he's not there, won't it?
Well, there's plenty of Japanese players at the club.
Well, there is at the minute, yeah.
How many is he taking? Well, I don't know. I'm not as convinced he's going though.
Here's the thing. I think there's an absolute ruthless streak to him, and I think if he goes to Tottenham, I'd be very surprised if he comes back for too many. To be honest, I think he'll know the tools he needs to be successful in Scotland, and he'll know the tools he needs to be successful in England. And I wouldn't be surprised if he came back for Hatate, maybe Kyogo, Carter Vickers. It's already been at Spurs, couldn't make the grade. Beyond that, I don't see him wanting any of the players that he's got at Celtic if it comes to that bit.
Have we ended up in a crossroads where, and I like this from Mr. Wee Red who's came in. I don't mean Mr. Wee Red in a derogatory way, it's just your username, Mr. Wee Red. Ange is a poker player, but the Bowl won't let anyone take the rudder. The Bowl won't control the money and the diamonds. And this is the thing. When Celtic get desperate, they hand over the keys. It's like me on the Sunday Blether, mate, when I give fucking... I give David Logan the keys. What is wrong with it? And I'm only kidding, they do a great job. But it'd be like me then going, the show gets to 2,000 views. The Sunday Brother gets to 2,000. This is a very loose comparison, by the way. Very loose. I am not comparing the same thing. Well, I am a wee bit, but just very loosely, if you can indulge me for a minute. And then it gets to like 2,000, 2,500 views every month. And I go, well, David, I'll take that right back off you. Sunday Brothers are getting done by me and Terry hungover again because you're now entitled to get an appearance fee because you're bringing X amount of revenue, and not that it'd be £1.80 instead of 93 pence. But I think when I look at it, Celtic go desperate. They let football guys make football decisions. The football guy becomes the figurehead of the football club, and they then go, we need to go into our pockets. And I think they would go round the same cycle again, like when Rodgers left, all over again if Ange were to leave. But I'm going to stand by it. I am not as convinced as many of the people in the live chat are that he's definitely gone yet. I don't think he's been offered a job. I think he's in the running for a job. And if he's in the running for it, and he puts his neck out and says, I want it, and they turn to Luis Enrique, I'll welcome Ange back for next season with open arms. Could you do that, Terry?
No, that's fair. That's absolutely fair. I've no problem with him having discussions and considering all options. And if he chooses to, I don't think he'll choose to stay with us. I think if he gets offered it, he'll go. But if he doesn't get offered it and he stays, I think that's more than acceptable behaviour. To be honest, I have no issue with that.
Would you do the same?
My preference is that he stays.
Would you do the same?
It's hard to know. Like in my job, I've been with the same company from I started working, or pretty much the same.
Oh, for fuck's sake, here he goes.
I have.
Big Willie Mealy yourself. Fuck off, Terry.
No, but most people in their jobs, if they get an opportunity to earn more for doing the same job, they'll probably take it. And I think Postecoglou would be doing a disservice to himself, his family, his generations to come if he didn't keep all avenues open. I think if he gets offered a job, he takes it. I'm not convinced he'll get offered it. That's where I'm at. If he doesn't get offered it and he stays with Celtic, am I happy? Absolutely, 1,000,000%. There's nobody else I want to manage the team going forward next season. That said, if he jumps ship, fair fucks to him. I'll not give him another thought 1 second.
But it's not about not giving him another thought. It's about giving Celtic what you always say is your
that's
priority.
Where my thoughts will go. My thoughts will
let me explain to you. Because your priority is Celtic, yeah? So we have to look at then Celtic's approach, because we were basically sold the dream, which I didn't believe at the time, that Ange was the guy. That was our guy. And I never fell for that, right? I went, you fucking landed lucky on him. Let's be honest. It was a tip-off right at the last minute. And look at the circumstances you got over on. But you were only willing to give him a rolling contract. That's now flipped. That is now completely flipped. See, if you look at Rodgers, he was on a rolling contract because we were lucky to get him. And whatever terms he wanted, we were willing to give. So what we did after a year was snapped him up in a 4-year deal on improved terms. I think he got up to about 45,000, 46,000 a week. Now, what's happened with Ange is you've pissed him off. by only giving him a rolling deal in the first place. If you really were all in, as they say, he would have been taken on board at the time. And if this was a meticulously thought out approach, he would have been given that contract, Terry, on a certain amount of year deal, as is common standard down south and in every other European league. Rolling contracts for managers are a unique Celtic thing or small club thing. That's the truth. Now, Ange has flipped it, and absolutely, if he leaves this week, which I am not saying I think is going to happen, I keep repeating it, I'm 50-50, but if he does, it's the biggest FU to us masquerading that we were ahead of the game. Oh yeah, look who we identified. Utter bullshit. And it's actually turned round the other way, where Ange just went, well, now the tail wags the dog. And if he were to go, there'll be no top 10 world record transfer fees for a manager like we got with Rodgers. It will be for peanuts, mate. And it'll be his gift to do whatever he wants this summer. And
I'd be surprised, Bhoycie, if he wasn't offered a deal last summer after he's delivered.
but it's insulting to him, mate. You've insulted him.
Probably.
He's went, I would hedge my bets, Terry, that when he joined, he wanted a 3-year deal at the time.
Probably.
Do you know what I mean? You're not giving me longevity, then I bring you trophies and you do. He's too acutely aware, Terry, of his abilities as a manager. And it proves Celtic were not as acutely aware and were winging it, mate, when they appointed him. Utterly winging it.
The power has shifted from the club to him, but ultimately, as a supporter, it probably doesn't make any difference whether he's on a rolling 12-month or whether he's on a 10-year. If an opportunity comes along, there's still that potential that he's going to go. I know we're trying to protect the club in the long term and get a fee the same way as we did with Rodgers and all of that. But ultimately, as a supporter, whether that manager, what kind of deal he's on, probably is completely irrelevant, because if the right offer comes along and he gets that opportunity, then it doesn't matter what his release fee is going to be. If the right team's involved, they'll just pay it and that's it, done. I mean, my thoughts are already very clear. If he stays, happy days. Are the board going to back him? I think if he stays, well, it goes back to whether he's offered it or not. Because if he's not offered it, then he stays, unless something else comes in. I know there's been a rumour of Marseille, but if Postecoglou is still the manager at the start of next season, I would expect our transfer activity to reflect the fact that we want to keep this man happy and keep him at Celtic Football Club and take it on to a new level. However, I'm also thinking, if this guy isn't here in 2 weeks, then are we going to go down the same road as we did with Rodgers?
Is there a plan?
As we did with Eddie Howe, as we would have done with Postecoglou had he not got his head turned. Are we going to go for what I believe to be a top-level manager? And listen, Ange Postecoglou isn't the only good manager out there. There's good managers all across the globe. There's elite managers all across the globe. It's whether our ambition takes us to go to somebody at the same level as a Brendan Rodgers. And let's face it, when we brought Rodgers in, that was a different move than bringing in Postecoglou, because Rodgers was a European renowned name. Rodgers was a name that we were able to bring in that could have got the vast majority of jobs in the English Premiership. Postecoglou was different because, yes, he's a massive name on the far side of the world, but he wasn't in Europe. He was an unknown. And the same way as he's getting a lot of scorn from the Spurs supporters now, he was a different proposition than he is now today. If we're going out and we're aiming at the same level as a Rodgers, an Eddie Howe, or a current Ange Postecoglou, then I mean the wheels keep moving. We just move on. Somebody else moves in and takes up the reins. But if we backtrack and we start to look at downsizing again, and God forbid we start looking at, I don't know. I don't even want to name names, but Gordon Strachan still has attachments to the club.
Steve Clark, stuff like that.
Con Kennedy, Harry Kewell. If we go down a route like that, then it's going to be a really depressing summer. However, if Ange moves on and we go, we're still shopping for elite managers. That's going to be an exciting summer, even if it's not Postecoglou. If we're still shopping in the Brendan Rodgers, Eddie Howe market, bring it on. Bring him
Do you,
in
want
and
to
let
push
him
the,
go.
do you want to push the big ginger button one more time, Terry, just for the crack?
Nah, that ain't happening. That ain't happening. Deal with
It's a
that. Listen,
joke. It's a
Lenny's
joke.
one of my all-time favourites. I couldn't deal with that. But if we're in the market,
Oh,
if we're in the
get that
market,
punk in here when we need them.
if we're
One
in the
more
market, if we're in the same
time.
market as Brendan Rodgers, Eddie Howe, then bring it on.
Imagine Big Lenny walking out to 15,000, not 13,000 at Celtic Park. One more time by Daft Punk playing over the PA. Big Lenny just going, here for the 10. I'm only kidding. That'd be a disaster.
If
But that's
we're
not
in
going
the
to happen.
Rodgers, Eddie Howe market, bring it on.
But again, I just think there's going to be clarity, I think, this week either way. We got the season done without any upset. We've won the treble. The manager stayed classy. The club, whatever approach they've had, have stayed classy. And whatever happens this week, we need to accept we're part of the cycle. We're part of the food chain of football. This is
I reckon this time
heritage.
next week we'll know what's happening. Like,
Yeah, I am not overly consumed by it all, Terry. I'll be honest. I think he's been fair
we were all
throughout.
Celtic fans. We were all Celtic fans long before Ange Postecoglou. We were a successful club long before Ange Postecoglou. Yes, he's been brilliant. He's been a breath of fresh air. If he stays, I'll fucking love him to bits and back him. But if he goes, I will not give him a second thought. The next man comes in and we move on. Fucking, that's the way it goes. See these guys that
True.
like Odson Edward, honest to goodness, I've never give that guy a second thought. Any of those people that leave, Christie,
Hear me out. That's a great.
Fair play to you. Where you go?
Terry, I want to talk to you about something like Odson Edward. I think it's a great example. So Odson Edward leaves Celtic for Crystal Palace, who've never been in a Champions League final in the last 4 years, are never considered a top 6 club in England, are relegation mid-table fodder. Yet when players leave, we don't seem to begrudge them leaving as much as what we do a manager potentially going to Spurs. The vitriol I already have seen towards Ange, sometimes in this live chat, a lot of it on social media, I find unacceptable because I go, they're joining Diddy clubs to be part of a 25-man squad. Yet you're getting the number one job. And let's be honest, how many players? Kieran Tierney went to Arsenal, fair dues. Out with that, who's went to a club bigger than Spurs that's been a player? And we've not, I mean, Christopher Ayer, for example, not that was his biggest fan, but he goes to Brentford. Everyone's like, well done for the years that it was good. You know, Ryan Christie goes to Bournemouth, and I suppose we chased him out. Stuart Armstrong, he was a key player, Southampton. Virgil van Dijk, Southampton. Fraser Forster, Southampton. South fucking Hampton, Terry.
I'll contradict myself, Bhoycie, because I say I don't care about.
Yeah, we're gonna go. Spurs are a Diddy club, and I just go.
I did a Google search of Edward's career with Crystal Palace. So they paid 18 million for a guy that they obviously thought was going to do well for 5 goals he scored. 5 goals he scored for them. Odson Edward, 5 goals this season for 18 million. Surely to goodness they wanted a better return than that. And I'll be honest, he was never one of my favourites when he was just Celtic. There's just something about him. I just couldn't bring myself to love him. But for him to go down to the Premiership, I probably expected him to score more than 5 goals in a full season. And
exactly, mate.
I'm genuinely not bothered. I really hope the manager stays. But if he goes, fuck him. I couldn't.
Has he upset you, Terry, the way he's acting the last week? Are you in the same boat as me that he's
manager? No, yeah. I'm not upset. I'd be disappointed. I'd be disappointed if he leaves. But
has he led you up a garden path?
No anger at all.
No, I agree. It's totally different.
No anger. No, I totally would get it. If he goes, I totally get it and understand. Would I wish him well? Nah. Would I wish him bad? I don't give a shit either way. Once he goes, he's out of my thoughts. I've no emotion towards him whatsoever. I won't be checking his results. I don't give a fuck what he does. Once he's gone, he's gone. And the next manager comes in, and I back him to the hilt. And that's just the way. That's the way it is with these players and managers. And the guy said it himself, Bhoycie. He said it himself. Players and managers come through. You guys are supporters. You're the people that are there. And honestly,
passing something.
We're just passing through. You're here forever. And I'll be a Celtic supporter to the day they put me in the ground. And I will not if Ange Postecoglou leaves now, or he leaves in 10 years' time, once he leaves, he's gone. He's nothing.
Oh, see, not for me though. I will watch every game. I'll become a
I'll
fan.
not give a shit.
This is how bad I am though, Terry, because I was the one person in any of the fan media podcasts, whatever you want to call it, I got to watch shit at the time, right? Because I was so underwhelmed by him joining. I was proven completely wrong. I've now went completely that full circle now. There's a bit of me that goes, see if you are going, go down there and give them some. Go and show them. Go and do what you did to me. To I don't know how many Spurs fans there is, 23 or something. 23 Spurs fans, whatever they've got. Go and show them what you showed me, because and turn their heads. I would get a bit of satisfaction in it.
I'd be the opposite. I'd just probably go and fucking you'll be sacked in 6 months. You'll be a rich man, but
you've got to look after your family as well, Terry.
Oh, of course you do. Of course you do. And
he's late to his career. He's late to this. He's late to the big stuff.
This guy's not a Celtic supporter. He's not the same as us, and it's so easy because even with Rodgers, you know, people are questioning whether he was a supporter or not, but it's different because we've all got our normal day jobs, and Celtic is our hobby and our pastime. And
you would think this was my fucking day job.
It's our release. It's our release from real life and stuff. But Brendan's career was football, and there's probably a point where he has to harden himself against emotion getting in the way of his job and his career, because if you just made emotional decisions in your work every day, you probably wouldn't get very far, to be honest.
It's weird, isn't it? But you're right. I mean, when you talk about, you know, it being your job, just very, very quickly, I mean, I got phoned by my mate. I got phoned by my mate at 1:30 today. He's like, what are you up to? Fancy like beers and that. And I'm like, I finish at 2:30. So I'll be able to get you at about 9:30. And he went, you what? And I went, you don't get it. Obviously, I've been watching the cup final anyway, but I could have watched it with him in a beer garden. I'm like, no, man. Too much to do. And he's like, what the f? He goes, what are you making off this? And I was like, I'll get about £1.90, £1.93. That's split with Terry every week. That's his match fee. It's been, Terry, a wonderful season doing the P.M.Ps. And me and you have had great fun.
Interesting
these games. Yeah, but it's been good debate. I think we've, for all of the fan medias, a lot of it, they try to be either ITK or they're either up the club's arse, which I get.
We're just two guys having a pint after the game.
We're two guys, and with the ability to disagree with each other, which you don't see on any other podcast. And we do disagree. Aye. And we have some debates on it. And I would just like to say a big thank you to you, big man, for being here for the whole of this season, doing the P.M.P, because I think you've became, as I said, I just claimed it one night last season that you were the face of P.M.P, but you've actually dug us out every single game this year. You've been on the back of last week when your son won what? Player of the Year?
There's been a couple.
What did your son win? What did your son win last week?
Eh?
What did your son win last week?
My middle lad was at his awards night and he got Player of the Year and Players Player of the Year. I was just very, very proud.
What club is that?
He's doing quite well. It's a wee club in Antrim called Antrim Rovers. They're 25 years. They're 25 years this summer. So there's a night for the coaches and parents and all that coming up in June. So I might go and have a few drinks at that. And the club was probably just forming as I was sort of finishing playing amateur football, but all three of my boys are at it. They're all doing well. They're all thriving. And probably just saying about the club, it's not really about how good the lads are or about what they're achieving, but all three of them have developed as human beings at Antrim Rovers. I'm sounding like Brendan Rodgers now. They're beautiful human beings.
Beautiful human beings.
No, honestly,
as long as you're there, Terry, I'll always be there.
Here's the club's motto. You like this? The club's motto is fear none, respect all. Is the motto of the club, and I think that's very, very good. Have respect for everybody you come across in your life, but fear absolutely nobody in your life. And I think that's a great motto. And listen, I'm under no illusions. My boys will never end up playing for Celtic or nothing as much as I would.
I love the fact.
But these wee clubs up and down Ireland, Scotland, England, across the world, some of these wee clubs are just about helping your kids to become better humans, and my boys certainly do that at the club they're at Antrim Rovers, and I would just like to thank them for all of that. But in terms of the P.M.P, I love it. Do you know what, Bhoycie, though? I am looking forward to a few weeks off, to be honest, just to recharge.
You deserve it, mate.
Listen, I'll give it a few weeks, and then I'll maybe come on some of the other shows.
You'll be itching, mate. You'll be itching, but listen.
Give my shite opinions on the summer transfer market and stuff like that. But I'm looking forward to a few weeks off, just to give your liver a break.
Terry, you've been picked for a reason to be the face of P.M.P, and genuinely, it's been a joy doing the whole thing with you again this year. And that's just completed another season, mate. And no way, even when the season started, did we think, I will still be flying, me and you doing P.M.P another year later. But that again, we didn't expect Celtic to be, treble winners for the fifth time in the last 7 years.
This summer is going to be exciting. It doesn't matter what happens. Bhoycie, if Ange stays, the excitement levels are just going to ramp up. If he goes and somebody else comes in, they're going to ramp up again. We're going to be talking for days and weeks about who the new man's going to be. It's going to be exciting either way. So just bring it on.
We've got loads to discuss coming forward, and don't worry, the bus is still on, Gary. Don't you worry. It's just P.M.P that's coming to an end. I'm just acknowledging the fact that it's our last game for another couple of months. But the Sunday Blether returns tomorrow at 11:30, and I'm sure the debate will be about Baskin and the goal of the treble. But I'm in no doubt body language experts will need to try and phone one. I wonder if there's any body language experts that used to work on This Morning set or anything like that could maybe help us out, because you never know. We could be doing with it right now to decide whether the manager's staying or going. We'll be back tomorrow for the Sunday Blether. We'll be doing the Monday Club around 3 to half 2 in the afternoon. And then it'll be the Tuesday ticket with me and Jono. Thankfully, there'll be no sudden death. But all we can say is, Terry, make mine a treble.
Bhoycie, I'm partial to a wee tune at the end. I'm going to go for one.
Yes, mate.
When the Celts go up to lift the Scottish Cup, we'll be there.
We'll be there. Go up to lift the Scottish Cup. We'll be there. We'll be there.
See you later.